All right. So, man, there's so much Star Wars news coming. I'm going to do another video later today talking about some of the stuff that dropped yesterday. If you don't know, Burger King pretty much has the spoiler Whopper. And it spoils all of the leaks that have been pretty much confirmed now again and again. It's like, man, what are you doing, Disney? They managed to keep this show under wraps. There's no leaks for any of the upcoming chapters for this show. But hey, Rise of Skywalker, the pivotal piece of all Star Wars, the one you need to absolutely be a success, well, we can just spoil everything so people can make up their minds if they're going to enjoy this movie or not. But as far as this chapter of The Mandalorian, I liked it a lot. This is probably my favorite chapter. I think this one was my favorite because of the cast. Yeah, Bill Burr finally showing up, playing, he's very clear that he was not an Imperial stormtrooper. He was an Imperial sharpshooter. He was very offended at the idea of being called a stormtrooper. The guy to the right, far right, that is Mark Dune. Sons of Anarchy fans will remember him as Bobby Munson, which was pretty interesting. I haven't seen him in forever. The last time I can remember seeing him on anything was, in fact, Sons of Anarchy. The casting choices for the show I like. They bring in a lot of people, like, you don't have to have been a fan of some niche show to really catch them. Another guy was the guy from the Drew Carey show. I don't remember his name, but he was Drew Carey's buddy from the show, one of the stupid ones. He played a New Republic officer, which I'll show later. I liked the whole cast in this. And one thing that you got the idea of right away when you were watching this is that this is not going to go well. This is a mistake for him to take up with these clowns. What are you doing, Mando? Mando, what are you doing? Another character I really liked was this one. So this is a Twi'lek. I think I'm saying that right. Probably not, though. But you would probably recognize this race from two spots in Star Wars movies, if that's all you've seen. There was a Jedi of this race back in the prequels. And then, of course, Jabba's palace. There was two of them that were slave girls before Leia came in, and he took them out. I think she was dancing. Pretty sure that they're the same race. So that was pretty cool to see. She's got a really interesting personality. She's very sadistic, as is her brother, who shows up later in the chapter. So anyway, the basic plot here is they need to get on a New Republic ship because they need to rescue a prisoner. Mando doesn't like that, of course, but he ends up going along with it. Now, one criticism I have is there's another member of this crew, Zero, who's a droid. Mando's okay with him flying his ship. I get that it needs to happen for plot reasons, but, he has such a problem with droids. If you remember in the first chapter, he literally paid extra for a junker land speeder that was driven by a human because he didn't want to ride with the droid. But hey, the droid can actually fly his entire ship now, which is fine with him. So that was a little kind of like, well, whatever. They need to move the plot along. You think he would have had a bigger problem with that. The reason they do that is because he had to do all these fancy maneuvers, which looked really cool, to get onto the ship. The reason they need Mando is because of his ship, actually, because, well, it's from the Clone War era, and that means that it's not on any Imperial kind of databases or New Republic databases, which was pretty cool. That was a nice reason that they needed him for plot reasons. So they get on the ship, and they end up running into the guy from Drew Carey show, and there was a little bit of standoff. They end up killing him, and they move forward to rescue the slave girl's brother. So when they find her brother, they, of course, betray him immediately. It's implied also, by the way, that they've worked together and that Mando had left Quinn behind, and now they leave him behind, which proceeds to the coolest part of the entire show is when they show him being a complete badass, and he pretty much escapes from the jail cell that they stuff him in, and he locks down the prison facility and proceeds to hunt them all pretty much one by one. The coolest scene was when he's hunting Bill Burr. Like, the lights are going on and off, and every time the lights come on, he's like getting closer and closer to Bill Burr, and he takes him out. I thought that was pretty badass. It ends up with him taking them all out. He takes Quinn back to Bobby from Sons of Anarchy and drops him off. Now, the big thing there is he knew they were going to betray him. So what he did was, one of the plot points from the show is when he was on the prison ship, a tracker gets hit, which brings in New Republic X-Wings. So he takes it. It's kind of one of the things here is they had 20 minutes. All within 20 minutes, he ends up hunting all of them down, taking Quinn back to Bobby from Sons of Anarchy here, and then leaves because he knew they were going to betray them. So he takes them back, he gets the money, leaves the tracker, and as he's leaving, X-Wings show up and destroy the facility, and he takes off. Now, one big revelation from this chapter, because we see Zero, before he gets taken out by the Mandalorian, kind of hunting Baby Yoda, and Baby Yoda is like kind of playing around with him. It kind of looks like he's not as, childlike as we think, because he shows a lot of reasoning with Zero, who's the droid, when he's kind of playing cat and mouse with him, and he ends up trying to use his force powers to take him out. He's a little bit more advanced than a baby, so I think maybe we might get a little bit more with that as we proceed, but he's maybe not as much of a child as we think, or maybe that's just done for plot reasons. I don't know, but he did a lot of things you wouldn't see a baby do, like him kind of hiding and watching the droid, and then he pops up, but he ends up being saved by Mando as he comes back and shoots Zero in the back. That was the most interesting thing to me, is what are they going to do with Baby Yoda? Is he going to, or the child, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep calling him Baby Yoda. I like that name better than the child. At least gives him a name. They have promised that Baby Yoda is going to be explored in this season, so I think we're going to get a lot of information on him by Chapter 8. They'll probably save it for the final chapter, which I would bet will be almost an hour long, because they really need to conclude that. Because despite me liking the kind of the serial nature of the show, where each chapter is kind of self-contained, one thing that is an issue is, we don't get a lot of character development too much. Like, each thing is self-contained. Now, we learn a lot of things. We learned a lot of stuff about Mandalorian in this chapter. So, his past and the people he's worked with. But as far as, building on any kind of, season narrative, not a lot has really happened yet. We just get, self-contained chapter after each chapter. A lot of people have complained about the structure of the show and call it a video game and stuff. I'm really fine with the way this show has been progressing. I've liked how they've been doing this. I just would like to get some answers, and I think we're going to get some answers probably in the last chapter. I think 7 and 8 are probably going to be cliffhanger. 7 is going to cliffhanger into 8. I think that's a strong possibility, because those are the last two. And Chapter 7 is taking so in between 7 and 8, they're going to take a week off because of Rise of Skywalker. So, that would make a lot of tension and keep you invested. I don't know. That's just my guess. But either way, to me personally, this was the strongest chapter out of the entire series. I really liked this one. I thought it had some of the best action. You really got to see what he can do. Well, he took down that entire bounty hunter team. I liked the world building. You got to see a lot of New Republic stuff. The X-Wings were really cool. And you got quite a bit of development with Baby Yoda. Maybe, he's not, I would say, as dumb as he seems. Like he's, an infant kid. He seems to be able to process things a little bit more than the average kid. So we'll see where they go with it. I think Chapters 7 and 8 are going to be really, really good. I think at least Chapter 8 will get a lot of stuff dumped on us. And if that works to the benefit of the show, we'll find out. But so far, I've really liked this series. It is kind of the Ritz Cracker philosophy here. The saying goes, you're really hungry, so even a Ritz cracker feels like a steak, because it's been so long since we've had really good Star Wars. And that could be the case. Like I've said before, I think, how does this series age? In 2 to 3 years, are we still fondly looking back at it? That's kind of going to be the big thing here. And I guess we'll find out. But as of how it feels right now, I'm really liking it. And I can't wait to see what happens. 7 and 8, there's going to be a lot to see. And I hope that they deliver, because they really are going to need to dump a lot of information to really make this feel, like it was worth it, at least to me, because I want to know about Baby Yoda. Where does he come from? Why do they age like this? I've talked about that before. Like, Yoda was an old man at 900, and he's 50 and still a kid. So do they rapidly age at some point? Is he just acting like a child? I think that could be something. That could be something after seeing this, the way that this all went through, is maybe he's acting like a kid for protection. That could happen. I could be wrong. We'll see. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. What'd you think of this chapter? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Throw me your comments and your likes. Those are very important for the algorithm. They help videos move in the algorithm. Interaction is paramount. Also, share the video. It's very important. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I will see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, take a moment. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. There's something going on right now, and they've been unsubscribing people. So just take a second and double check on that, and subscribe if you're new.